Hey everyone, Jamie here from TechnicalCafe.com, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking about switch statements in PHP. And switch statements are actually pretty similar to conditional statements, particularly a bunch of if statements, but are often used when you have a bunch of different conditions that you want to check for and want to execute code against. So let's say, for example, we wanted to create a mini dictionary of sorts, which allows us to enter in a language, and based on that language, tell us a little bit about that language. We could use a set of if statements. We could say if it's PHP, say this. If it's JavaScript, say this. If it's Java, say this. But if we were to use a switch statement, it's a little bit more efficient, and you'll see why in just a second. So up here we have our index.php file, and within that we just have some PHP tags. And let's go ahead and create a variable called language, and we're going to set that equal to PHP for now. So now let's create a switch statement where we can define different languages and add a little bit of information about them, and based on whatever language we type in up here, have that information printed to the screen. So let's say switch, and create a set of parentheses up here, and we're going to put language, which is what we're going to be checking against, within the parameter list here, and then we're going to open up a code block. And within this code block are going to be the different cases or conditions of our switch statement. So in order to create a case in the switch statement, which is essentially the same as a condition, what we're going to do is say case, and then whatever we want to check for, so PHP. And this is essentially equal to saying if it's PHP, and what we're going to do is, instead of opening up a code block, we're going to use a colon to denote what happens inside of the case. And we're going to, let's say for example for PHP, we're going to echo out PHP is a server-side scripting language. And that's essentially the same thing as writing an if statement to say that. However, what we're going to do is say break underneath this echo statement. And I'll tell you about that once we write our next statement. So let's say, for example, we also have JavaScript. So let's say case JavaScript, and our colon here to define our case. And we're going to say echo JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. And we're going to say break. And the reason we have this break here is because, let's say we have PHP as our language, and we find PHP being the case here. What's going to happen is it's going to execute this echo statement here, and then once we hit break, it's gonna stop executing the switch statement. If we were to get rid of this break, it would actually go to the next statement down here and execute that code as well. And let me go ahead and actually show you this. Let's save this here, and let's jump over here to Chrome and refresh. And then notice that we have PHP is a server-side scripting language because our language is set to PHP. If we were to actually comment out this break statement, you'll notice that what's going to happen once we refresh is that we get also JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. And that's because our case here for PHP just goes right into the next case because we didn't break out of the switch statement. So that's important to include in there. Let's go ahead and add another case. So let's say, for example, case is HTML. And we're going to say echo HTML is used for displaying data on a web page. And let's go ahead and just kind of tighten this up a little bit and save this here. So let's say we want to find out what JavaScript is. So we enter in JavaScript, we save this, come over here to Chrome and refresh, and you'll notice that we have JavaScript as a client-side scripting language. In the worst case, let's say that you forget the break statement from both PHP and JavaScript cases, and we enter in PHP. If we come over here, you'll notice that we get all three PHP, JavaScript, and HTML cases, which is not something that we want at all. So let's go ahead and get rid of these put these break statements back in. Let's say, for example, we want to enter in something like Java. So let's go ahead and do that. And we come over here and save this and refresh. You'll notice that nothing happens. And that's because we don't have Java explicitly defined in our list of cases here. So what we can do is actually, this is essentially the equivalent to an else statement if you're working with conditionals. is, say, a default, which is a default case. And this is going to happen if whatever we type in here doesn't match any of our cases. So in this case, let's just say language not found. So now if we type in Java and we come over here and refresh, you'll notice that language not found pops up. And that's because we don't have an explicit case for it. So this is basically what switch statements are. Feel free to play around with it, add some different cases, see what happens if you don't include break statements, that sort of thing, and just have some fun with it. So thank you for watching. Feel free to post any questions in the comments section below, and have a great day.